There we go. That's what your drawing should look like. Every drawing, before we get started, this is what has to be done. Now that we've completed the setup of our drawing, let's go ahead and let's start drawing number one. Drawing number one is a 3-view drawing of a very simple object, right? And that object is a simple block. This is what we're going to draw. And the way we're going to do that drawing is we're going to draw 3 views. A mechanical or orthographic drawing has 3 views. We're going to draw the front view in this location. We're going to draw the side view in this location. And we're going to draw the top view in this location right here. There's going to be 2 inches that separate the views. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw the front view. The dimensions for this particular block is 3 inches. The dimensions for this block are 3 3/4 inches by 1 7/8 inches, and the thickness of the block is 1 1/8 inch. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw the front view of this particular object, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to draw the other views. So in order to draw the front view, we know that the length of this is 3 3/4 inches. I'm going to take my ruler. This is our starting point. We've established our starting point right here. This is our starting point for all our drawings. We're going to measure to the right 3 3/4 inches. We're putting 0 inches at our starting point. I'm measuring to the right 3 3/4 inches. I'm going to put a dot. We know that we need 2 points to draw a line. I'm going to slide my ruler up, my drawing. All the way near the top of my drawing, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to measure over 3 3/4 inches, and I'm going to put a dot. Just as a reminder, that our first line that we're putting in for the length of our block is 3 3/4 inches. Once we have those 2 points, we're going to draw a light line. We are going to draw a light line between those 2 points, and we're going to remember to draw that line across the page. Whenever we draw these lines now, we draw these light construction lines all the way across the page, remembering not to draw in a borderline. So what we've just done is we drew the length of the front view of our block. Remember, this is the block that we're working on. We're drawing the front view. A mechanical orthographic drawing has 3 views. It has a front view. It has a side view, which we'll put over in this area. It has a top view, which we'll put up there. And we're in the process of drawing this front view. Right? So the length of the block was 3 3/4. We went back to our starting point. We took 0 inches and put 0 inches at our starting point. We measured over 3 3/4 inches. And let's zoom into 3 3/4 so we know exactly where 3 3/4 is on the ruler. Three 3/4 inches on the ruler. We put 0 inches on the starting point, and let's straighten this out a little bit. Right, and 3 3/4 inches on the ruler is this point right here. We go past the 3 on the ruler, right? 1/8, 1/4, 3/8, 1/2, 5/8, 3/4. There's 3/4 there. So the length of our block is 3 3/4. Length of our block is 3 3/4 inches. 0 inches on the starting point. We measure to the right, 3 3/4, and this is the point right here. We know the thickness of the block is 1/8 of an inch. Our next step is to draw a line right here that will give us the top part of the block. And remember, when we do this, we always draw these light construction lines all the way across the drawing. So we know this measurement is 1 1/8. What we're going to do is we're going to take our ruler and we're going to put 0 inches at our starting point. We're going to measure up 1 1/8, and 1 1/8 is the point that we're talking about now. 1 1/8 inches. I'm placing 0 inches on our starting point. I'm going up past the 1 1/8. It's the same as 1 2/16. 1, 2, 1 1/8. Now, whatever I do on one side of the drawing, I need to do on the other side of the drawing so I can draw a line across the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this so you can see this. I'm going to slide over to the right side of the drawing, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put 0 inches on my bottom, 0 inches on my bottom construction line. I'm going to measure up 1 1/8 inches, and I'm going to put a dot. I'm measuring up 1 1/8 inches, and I'm putting another dot. Once I do that, I'm going to draw a very, very light construction line across the page. So I'm going to open up the shot a little bit so we can see it a little better. And I'm going to draw that light line all the way across the page. And I'm going to remember not to draw it through my border lines. So I'm lining myself up on my 2 1/8 dots or points, and I'm going to draw a light line across the page. And there's my light line. And you can see that the front view of this particular object, we've basically formed it, right? It fits right in there. All right, so there's our front view. Okay, now, since I'm confident I've drawn this correctly, I'm going to go in now and I'm going to darken in the lines that indicate the shape of the object, the real shape of the object. And I know that looking at this is a rectangle. This line right here is an object line. It defines the object. This is an object line. This one right here is an object line. It defines the object, and so is this one. Those lines that define the shape of the object are object lines. We darken those in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to darken these lines in. So I'm darkening in this line, this line, this line, and this line. So I'm going to do that now. And you can see how these lines now are definitely darker than these lighter construction lines. This forms the front view of our drawing. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the side of our object. This was the front. We're now going to draw the side of the object. Now, since I've drawn this many times, I know that if we put this side view in a certain spot, everything will be balanced, it will be visually appealing. So that spot is 2 inches from this front view right here. What we're going to do is we're going to measure over 2 inches, put a dot. We're going to go to the top of the drawing, measure over 2 inches, put a dot. And then we're going to draw a light construction line up the page. And that'll give us the starting point for our side view. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to measure 2 inches. And I'm going to zoom in so we all can see that. We know that we're dealing with 2 inches here. And I'm putting 0 inches on the right side of the front view, that one we just drew. And I'm going over 2 inches. I'm putting a dot. And I'm going to slide up my drawing and do the same thing. I'm going to measure over 2 inches and put a dot. I'm going to draw a light construction line through those 2 points. And now the next thing I have to do is I have to draw this line, this side of the block. Right now, I know because I measured this, and you also have it on your sheet of final measurements for these blocks, that this measurement right here is 1 7/8 inches. So I'm going to measure from this point right here, 1 7/8 inches, put a dot, come up here, measure over 1 7/8 inches and put a dot, and draw a light construction line. Okay, the measurement for the side, the next line for the side of the block is 1 7/8 inches. So I have 0 inches at this point. I'm measuring over 1 7/8. I'm going to put a little dot. Remember, 1 1/8, 1 1/4, 1 3/8, 1 1/2, 1 5/8, 1 3/4, 1 7/8. There it is right there. All right, I'm going to slide up my drawing and put 0 inches on that same construction line, measure to the right, 1 7/8 inches. There's my 1 7/8 inches. And I'm going to put a dot. Once I have that dot, I am going to draw a light construction line between those 2 points. And now I have actually formed the side view of my block. And you can see that the measurement is correct, and this actually forms the side view. The next thing I'm going to do, since I'm confident in my measurements, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to darken in those lines, and those construction lines will become object lines. So I'm going to do that now. Now, I've darkened in the construction lines and I've made object lines now. And you can see that the drawing now, I have my front view, I have my side view, and the next thing is going to be my top view. The top view is going to start 2 inches from the top of my front view. So I'm going to measure up 2 inches this way, 2 inches over here. I'm going to draw a light construction line across the top, and then I'm ready to draw my top view. So let's do that now. I'm going to take 0 inches. I'm going to place 0 inches on the top of my front view. Here is my front view. I'm putting 0 inches. I'm measuring up 2 inches and putting a dot. I'm sliding across my drawing to the right, and everything we do, every construction line we draw across the page, I'm putting 0 inches on that construction line, I'm measuring up 2 inches, I'm putting a dot. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a light line, a light construction line across the drawing through those 2 points. This has now established the starting point for my top view. We had our front view here, our side view here, and now we're working on our top view. The top view of the object that's where the top view is going to go. Now, I know from measuring the block, from actually physically measuring the block, from measuring it that way, but I know also from our final measurement sheet for the blocks that the measurement from here to here is 1 7/8 inches. Measurement from here to here is 1 7/8. So what I'm going to do is, this is my starting point for my top view. I'm going to measure from here up 1 7/8, come over here, measure up 1 7/8 inches, and I'm going to draw a light construction line across the drawing. And I'm going to zoom in. We'll get a little tighter here so we can see our measurement. I'm putting 0 inches at this point right here. I'm measuring up I'm measuring up 1 7/8 inches and putting a dot. We're measuring up 1 7/8. That's 1 1/8, 1 1/4, 1 3/8, 1 1/2, 1 5/8, 1 3/4, 1 7/8 right there. That's the spot on the ruler. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to slide my ruler across the page. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to slide my ruler across the page. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side of the drawing. I'm going to measure up off this construction line 1 7/8, and I'm going to put a dot. Once I've done that, I'm going to draw a light construction line through those 2 points. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw a light line through those points. Now, I've established my top view. The next thing I'm going to do, since I'm confident in my measurements, I'm confident in what I did, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to darken in those construction lines now, and I'm going to make object lines out of them. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to darken in those lines that define the object. So basically I have a rectangle here. Just darken in the lines that define the object. And you can see that these object lines now are definitely darker than my construction lines here. Yours will be, there'll even be more of a difference. I need to make them a little darker so they show up on the video.